Entonces hoy
Today,
la práctica
we'll talk about
de pranayama.
the
Tú sabes
pranayama
que
practice.
nos da
You know
exagerados
that it gives us
beneficios a nivel
enormous
físico,
physical
físico,
benefits
mental,
and also
pránico-energético.
mental and energetic
Mejora
benefits.
además la
Pranayama
capacidad
improves
pulmonar,
the
incrementando
capacity of
también
our
la
lungs,
capacidad
increasing our capacity to breathe.
Por supuesto, también contribuye
Of
a una
course, it
mayor
also contributes to a
oxigenación
better oxygenation of
de
the
la
blood
sangre y de todo el
and of the
organismo.
whole body.
Pranayama, prana es como,
Well, prana
como
is
decir
like saying
respiración.
breath
Mientras
or
que
breathing,
ayama se traduce
while
como
the word yama
regulación.
is
Entonces,
translated as
pranayama
regulation.
quiere decir
Thus,
el
pranayama
control
means
o dominio
control or
en
mastery
este caso,
of
del aire.
something.
El viento
In this
afuera,
case,
el
of
viento
air,
adentro.
wind
Por lo que
outside and wind
pranayama
inside.
es
So
la
pranayama
ciencia o el
is
arte
the
que enseña el
science
conjunto de
or the
técnicas para
art that
controlar la
teaches the group or the
respiración,
combination of techniques
en su
to be able to
aire
control our
y la
breathing,
energía
controlling
en su
the air and the
prana,
energy
¿no?
through prana,
Dividiendo
dividing the air
congruentemente el aire
throughout
a lo largo del
the body,
y a lo ancho
throughout
también, ¿no? Ya que
the
el
whole
pranayama es la
body.
expansión de la energía
Pranayama
vital.
is the
No
expansion
solo,
of vital
no solo en
energy,
tu cuerpo,
and not
no solo
only
en el
in your
cosmos,
body,
sino
not only in the
en tus vidas
cosmos,
pasadas,
but
en tus
also
cuerpos
in
pasados,
your past lives, in your
en
past
tu karma.
bodies,
Y tener este
in your
karma
karma.
frente a ti
Having this karma in
es lo
front
que
of you,
te ayuda a
that is what
desarrollarte
helps
como
you
un
to
experto
develop
yogi, como
as
una
an
experta
expert
yogini,
yogi, an
como un
expert
yogi
yogini,
experto en
who is an expert
cultivarte,
in cultivating
aprendiendo
yourself,
de tu
learning from
pasado,
your past,
proyectando
projecting and creating
y
your
creando tu
future. Okay?
Todo esto
All of this
también
is
es
also
el
pranayama.
pranayama.
It is not
No
only the
solamente la
technique
técnica
that you
práctica.
practice.
La respiración es el
The
silencio
breath
de
is
todo
the silence that
todo
listens to
entre
everything
el cuerpo
between the
físico
physical body and the
y la
mind.
Es
It's
la
the distribution of
distribución
prana
de prana
inside the body.
en el cuerpo.
It
Relaja la
relaxes
actividad
the
cerebral.
mental
Entonces, de este
activity,
modo, cuando la
and like
respiración se hace
this,
más
when the
lenta
breathing is
y más
done
profunda,
more slowly and more deeply,
y sí,
then
la mente se
the
calma
mind
porque
relaxes
es
too,
la energía
because it's
vital
the vital
que
energy
captamos
that we get
con la
through the
respiración.
breathing, which
Esta es la que
nourishes the
alimenta
generation of
la
thoughts in our
generación de
mind.
pensamientos
Okay,
en la mente.
so
Entonces, podemos decir que el
we can
objetivo
say that
general
the general aim
del
of
pranayama
pranayama
es controlar el
is
prana
to
mediante
control prana
la regulación
by
del ritmo
regulating the rhythm
de
of our breath.
respiración. Entonces, a esto lo vamos a
We're
llamar
going to
el
call
aire
this
control. El
the
viento
control of the
es
air, or the
la
control of
llave
the wind,
de
which is
todos
the key
los
to
pranayamas,
all pranayamas.
que es el
It's
pranayama
the
maestro,
master
el
pranayama,
pranayama del viento.
the wind
Y a
pranayama.
través
And
de este
through this control of
de
prana,
aquietar
calming down our mind is going to
calmar la
make
mente
our time
va
a little bit more
hacer en
productive
nosotros
inside
un
of
tiempo
us,
un poco más
more productive for our
productivo,
mind,
¿no?
for our clarity,
para la mente,
our
para la
mental
claridad
clarity,
mental, sabiendo
and it's
por
going to help
consecuencia dónde
you
estás hoy,
realize where
ahora,
you
en
are
este
now
momento, por
at this
consecuencia,
moment,
hacia dónde,
and consequently where you are
hacia dónde te vas a
heading.
dirigir.
where you're
El
going.
pranayama son,
So pranayama means
vamos a nuestra
many
práctica,
things.
porque
But
cuando
let's
comienzo a
talk
hablar,
about the practice. Because when I start talking, since we do not have so much time, I'd rather speak more about the technique or about the practice today.
en nuestra práctica.
Okay? So
Este
this
pranayama que os
pranayama
voy a
that I'm
compartir
going
hoy
to share with you today is one
es
of
uno de
the
los más
most
complejos.
complex
Cuando tú
ones.
puedes
And when you can
dominar
master it, you will realize
cuando puedes
that you
ir
can master it, but that the pranayama can control you
cuando
too.
puedes permitir que
So,
también
in a way,
tú
it's
puedes
like
dominar el
going
pranayama, pero
back
el
and
pranayama te
forth.
puede controlar de alguna
At
manera.
the
Entonces,
beginning,
es un
you
ida
are
y
going to
vuelta.
take the pranayama, but
En un
afterwards, the
principio tú vas a
pranayama
tomar el
is
pranayama,
going
pero
to
luego el
take
pranayama
you,
te va a
and
tomar
it is going
y
to
va a
do
hacer
something
de toda la
very
práctica
different
algo
out
muy
of
diferente
the whole of the
con el
practice
tiempo.
with time.
Entonces,
So,
bien,
the first thing that
lo
we
primero
have
que
to
tenemos
know
que saber es que
is that when we
cuando
start
comenzamos a
oxygenating
oxigenarnos de una
ourselves
manera rítmica,
rhythmically and
también
fast,
acelerada, y con toda la
paying
atención en lo que
all the
estamos haciendo,
attention to what we
nuestro
are
cuerpo
doing, then
comienza a
our
calentarse.
body
Sí,
starts
entonces,
heating up. Then
no solo que vamos a estar
we are not
sacando
only going to
ese
exhale
aire
the old air
acumulado
that
que
we
está en
have
el cuerpo, ese
accumulated
aire
in our
viejo,
body, but we are
sino que
also going
también
to
y a
get rid of
través de este, a medida que
toxins
va
from the
saliendo, vamos
body
a
through the
generar un
air
tanto
that we
de
exhale.
toxinas también.
Okay? So
Entonces,
let us start with the first part
vamos con la
of the
primera parte
pranayama
del pranayama y
and
con lo que hoy os
with what I'm going to
puedo
be telling you
explicar,
today.
sí, ya que son
Okay?
muchísimas cosas.
But
Y el
remember that
pranayama no es
pranayama has
solamente
many
una
different parts to it,
práctica,
and
una
it's not
técnica en su
only the breathing
respiración. El
practice, the
pranayama en unos años
technique,
va
the
a ser
breath.
otra cosa,
In
porque
a
se va a
few
seguir
years,
desarrollando
pranayama
y
is
sobre
going to
todo
be a
cuando
different
toca hacer
thing
karma
because it is
eso ya
going
es
to keep
otra
developing
historia.
inside of you, and
Entonces,
then
hoy
you will
solo
affect your karma.
únicamente lo
But that's
técnico,
another story.
no del pranayama,
So today we're
sino
only
de
going to
la
talk about the
respiración
technique, not
que te
about
va a llevar en su
the
momento
pranayama as
a
such, but
este
about the
pranayama
breathing
maestro.
technique, which is going to take you eventually to the master pranayama when
Entonces,
you're
lo primero
ready.
que
The first
podemos hacer
thing
es
that we're
comenzar
going
a
to
tomar
do
aire de forma
is
lenta y
inhale,
profunda, llevando
taking
este
air deeply
al área
to the
diafragmática.
area of the diaphragm.
Fíjate que cuando el aire entra
Notice that when the air
al órgano
enters
de
the
esta manera,
organ this
por
way,
esa consecuencia se puede
the organ
hinchar,
swells
¿sí? Entonces,
like this.
tiene este movimiento de expansión.
And it has this
El
movement, a movement of expansion. The air
entra al diafragma de esta manera.
Enters the diaphragm like
Hincha el
this.
órgano y luego
It inflates
vas a
the organ,
empujar
and
hacia
then
abajo con
you're
él
going
mismo.
to push downward
¿Sí? Mira.
with it. Like this. Look.
Entonces, esto es como para entrar.
This is just to start
en el
getting in touch with the
movimiento
inner movement
interno
and
y
the
relación
relationship
del aire,
between the
cuerpo,
air and the
la
body,
transformación del oxígeno,
the
la
transformation of
información
the
que existe en
oxygen,
este,
the information that is contained in the oxygen, and what occurs with the information inside the body. As we do this, many things are happening at the same time when we inhale and when we exhale. Then, let us continue. Look.
Vamos a dividir el aire.
We're going to divide the air. We're going to do our practice in 3 parts, right? The first one is going to be very slow, and the movement is only going to be diaphragmatic. Any movement in other parts of the body is going to be very obvious. So all your attention and all your concentration and all your energy and all your love are only going to be here in the diaphragm, right? Look. Everything happens here. When you let go of the air, it has to fall heavily, almost as if touching the ground, right? Look. This is the first tempo for this first exercise of the diaphragm. Look.
Segundo tiempo, vas a continuar
the second tempo. You're going to continue swelling or inflating your diaphragm with air. But when you're going to push downward, the abdomen is going to move forward and not sideways. Forward. So the movement is going to be like this. Right?
El movimiento va a ser este.
The movement is going to be like this.
Entonces, ahora se divide el aire.
So then now the air is divided between the diaphragm and the movement. Can you see the difference?
¿Puedes ver? Que es diferente este movimiento.
Can you see the difference between this movement and this movement?
Y este solo de abajo.
This one comes from further up and this one only from below. Now you have to divide your mind into these 2 organs, right? Abdomen
y diafragma. El tiempo va a ser más
and
rápido.
Diaphragm.
A esta velocidad.
The timing is going to be faster at this speed.
Inhalas solo una vez y sueltas el aire.
You inhale only once and you let go of the air slowly and steadily, dividing it.
El aire llega al diafragma y cuando lo
The air reaches the diaphragm, and when you let it go, your abdomen is going to help you to be able to divide the air and to exhale it this way.
El tercer tiempo.
The third tempo is going to be a movement just of the abdomen.
Entonces,
okay?
A partir de
From now on, all your attention,
toda tu atención va a estar en
all your attention is going to be placed on the abdomen. on the center of your body, which is where you are heading. All your connections leave from this area of the body. All the energy is projected from here, right? It's our center. Now, the speed is going to be a bit faster. The movement is going to be only abdominal. The diaphragm is not going to be participating now. Now you're going to inflate this area with air, and here comes the division of the air without the participation of the diaphragm, right? It's worth mentioning that as you keep releasing the air, and the faster you do so, you'll have to make less pressure, because if you apply the same kind of pressure that you did before, when the movements were slower and the pressure was bigger, you won't be able to divide the air into shorter bits, like we are going to be doing now. Okay? So the air pressure has to be less, and by doing so, you'll be able to divide the air much better when it comes out. So let's go. Abdominal movement. Abdominal movement. You can see that we are changing the speed, the tempo.
En los 3 tiempos,
in the 3 tempos, when doing this practice, you'll have to try to cut the air the best possible way, as if cutting it with scissors. And you'll have to be very present with what you're doing, right? You'll have to think about what you're doing so that your body will be able to follow your mind, right? Otherwise, it would be too difficult for the mind to follow the movement of the body. It has to be the other way around for the time being, at least. But when the breathing is carried out naturally, then the mind and the body are going to go together. But for now, the body is going to follow the mind. That's why we have to think during our practice, right? When the technique stops being a practice, then it becomes pranayama. Fine. So I'll do the 3 tempos, the 3 speeds, right? The first one, diaphragm, and the air falls heavily to the ground. The second one is a bit faster, diaphragm and movement, right? Also of the abdomen. Okay. Remember that you have to do this movement at the same time. And then you take the air to the abdomen and you release it from here. Okay? You have to make another type of pressure, which is different. It's weaker, with less pressure, so that you'll be able to divide the air. Let's go. Number 2.
Número 3.
Number 3.
Esa es la primera práctica que tienes que hacer.
This is the first practice that you will have to do, at least for a week. Well, I'm just giving you an introduction to what I call the wind pranayama, right? But it's many things at the same time. You should do this for 1 week. Once you're able to feel, to perceive your diaphragm, your abdomen, and how you divide the air, how the air enters your body and how it transforms, how it calms down and clarifies your mind a bit and relaxes you before your meditation. After this week, you go on with this other practice that I'm going to give you now. Do not do everything together because you're not going to benefit from it. After 1 week, you will do this practice. You will do exactly the same. This time, not taking the air to the center of your body, but taking it to the left side of your body, right? To your stomach. That's where you'll take the air. And you'll follow the 3 tempos exactly like before, but taking the air to the stomach. Look, you're already familiar with the 3 tempos and the movement of the organs. And the only thing that changes now is the impulse and the direction of the air, which will end up here, right? And the exhalation occurs naturally. Look, stomach,
Voy de nuevo, estoy un poco acelerado con el tiempo.
I'll do it again. I've done it a bit too fast. It should be done slower, a bit slower. Look.
Entonces, bien, una vez
okay, so once you are able to perceive the movement of the diaphragm, the movement of the abdomen, right? Once you're able to perceive how they can all work together, but also independently from each other, feeling how you take the air to the center of your body. Once you are in this place, you'll start taking the air to the sides of your body. First to the stomach and then to the liver, right? First to the left, then to the right, okay? Then you're already familiar with the tempos. You're already familiar with the movement of the diaphragm in the first tempo. You also know the movement of the diaphragm and the abdomen in the second tempo, and only the movement of the diaphragm in the third tempo. We're going to do exactly the same, but we're going to take the air to the stomach and do not go on to the liver until you master this one, okay? Number one then. We direct the air to this point.
Segundo tiempo, aquí.
The second tempo, here.
Tercer tiempo, aquí.
Third tempo here.
Una vez que te sale esto, pasa al hígado.
Once you master this,
derecho.
You go to the liver.
Primer tiempo,
on your right
pesado,
side.
Lento.
And you do the first tempo, heavy and slow.
Segundo tiempo.
Second tempo.
Tercer tiempo.
Third tempo.
Una vez que puedas hacer estos tiempos en el centro, a la izquierda,
once you manage to do all of these tempos in the middle, to the left, to the right, after several weeks, or maybe a bit more than several weeks, you'll start to do these breaths without thinking about the division of the air. What does this mean? Even if today you're able to do this, you will have to practice all the previous wind stages of this technique anyway, because you will have to divide the air very well, so that when you enter the pranayama in the future, you'll be able to hit properly the organs that you're going to clean. And also because you'll have to become familiar with the movements of the organs a bit more, right? Once everything is under control in its place, the next step is doing exactly the same, but without thinking about it. That's when you will be getting closer to the technique. Right? And once you've reached the mastery of the technique, there is nothing else left but starting with pranayama. But it takes a long time to reach this point. Meanwhile, we continue perfectly with the technique. So there'll come a point when you do the practice without thinking. Namaste.